This is my 1985 Volkswagen Vanagon, and I live in it full time. But as of recently, I've been doing it in somewhat of an unconventional way. That's because my van doesn't run. It's been about 16 or 17 days now since my turbo seized up. And I've been fighting gremlins ever since, putting in the new turbo, which you saw in the last episode, to try and get this motor running back to how it's supposed to be running. My turbo blew up and it starved the engine of oil. I don't know what part starved the most, but nonetheless, it starved the engine of oil. And if I know anything from my YouTube mechanic expertise, it's that these engines, they like oil to be able to run for a long time. When I installed the new turbo and ran it for the first time, it made some pretty bad noises, but I think it's fixable. There's a few things you need for an engine to run. Usually it's fuel, air, and a spark, but since this is a diesel, you'll still need fuel and air. It'll just be a diesel fuel, and then that'll make combustion. Luckily, my engine has all of those things, and it runs pretty good. It just makes like a knocking or a tapping sound, so we need to address that. And I'm gonna start by pulling out the camshaft. Now that the cam is off, Tyler and I are gonna go run into town so I could grab my new cam and lifters and a few other bits and bobs so I could get this thing back on the road. All right, we just got back to camp and unfortunately my part, the camshaft and the lifters, did not show up today. However, I did get my turbo oil feed line, the correct one, hopefully this time. This is a hard line opposed to the other line that I had. So we'll see if this fits, and tomorrow I'll be getting my camshaft in. These past couple of weeks have been incredibly tough. The stress and anxiety really took a toll on me, and honestly, it's been a bit of a breakdown. I'm so grateful to have friends who have stepped in to help, driving me around, being there when I needed them most. Asking them for help has never been easy for me, which is why I'm especially thankful to share that today's video has been sponsored by BetterHelp. When I first started traveling in a van solo around the American states, it was extremely difficult. Making friends and finding new people with similar interests to me, it was a lot harder than I thought. In constant fear of judgment from random strangers in different states because I couldn't come up with the words to say to be friendly enough, I guess. It wasn't until I found online therapy, and once I discovered that, it changed everything. Talking to someone that you know won't judge you and will give you positive feedback in your day-to-day life is a game changer. Now I feel like I know exactly what to say, and I approach people with a completely different mindset. Because in those scenarios, I feel like I could truly express myself. So that's why BetterHelp is on a mission to make starting therapy as easy as possible, whether that be a phone call or a text message or face-to-face online. It's all online, so it gives you a much wider range of therapists than what would be just in your city. And all you need to do to start is click the first link in the description below and then fill out the questionnaire so BetterHelp could match you with the best therapist that suits your needs. And if you don't think your therapist is a great fit, you could change therapists until you find one that you like. So click the link in the description below or go to betterhelp.com/Sebastian Stoneham to get 10% off your first month. All right, let's get back to the van and install this turbo oil feed line. So once I get my camshaft and lifters in tomorrow, we could hit the trails and start traveling once again. So last night I did not work on the van. It got late and then we started a fire and we hung out, and I'm gonna install the turbo oil feed line right now. It's morning, it's Friday morning, and we're gonna get this thing going. So the turbo oil feed line runs from this oil filter housing right here all the way to the turbo itself. And you can see this is the line that I ordered in the first place, but it didn't really fit. So like that part didn't fit on the housing, so I just kind of spliced it in. But it does leak, and that's the main issue. Apart from the whole camshaft situation, I spliced it in because it allowed me to drive out here and not have any neighbors. Okay, so I did get this in the mail yesterday. I was supposed to get the camshaft and the lifters in the mail as well, but I did not. But at least I have this. Before everything else arrives today, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in, but I won't bore you with any of the details. I'm just gonna throw it in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Now we have the turbo oil feed line properly installed. Now, unfortunately, I did order the wrong one once again, so I ended up cutting the banjo bolt off of the one I just ordered and spliced it into the braided line with a soft, not high temperature oil rated soft line. I think it's gonna be completely fine. There shouldn't be any leaks whatsoever, and I only use maybe this much of the soft line in between the hard line and the braided line. Now, I did that because I have the line I need in my storage unit in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I'm planning on driving there very soon so I could get that swapped out and then empty out the van for upcoming projects. But that should get me through until then. I can't obviously test it out right now because I don't have the camshaft, but I did pull out the wire. That is the whole reason that I'm having these issues, and it's because of this guy right here. A 10-cent zip tie would have saved me thousands of dollars in this whole ordeal, because this was installed between the starter motor, which is right there, and the alternator, which is right here. And I had the wire running this direction because it's a long wire. It doesn't need to be that long, but it was running right over here and then cutting across. I had it zip tied up behind the firewall right here. And unfortunately, one of the zip ties looks like it came loose or undone, or maybe I even cut it previously and forgot to put it back. But it was resting on this bracket right here, and my turbo oil feed line, this guy right here, was resting on top of that wire. So it was just pushing it down onto this bracket, causing it to tear. And once it tore, it had one isolated spot of a lot of heat. And like I said, that turbo oil feed line was sitting on top of this, and that's what busted it, causing all my oil to disappear and me getting a new turbo, new cam and lifters, hoping that is my ticking, knocking issue. We will see in a couple hours. So I think it's safe to say that a 10-cent zip tie could save you a few $1,000s in repairs and a lot of bike riding to work and back. Well, in my case anyway. So I do not have an extra wire with me. I'm gonna go ahead and use some electrical tape and tape this up and zip tie it out of the way, not in the way of any other oil feed lines or wires, and get this project wrapped up. Okay, check this out. Tyler had some heat shrink, so I doubled them up, and this is looking good as new now. I do still plan on replacing this wire at some point, but this will get me on the road. This is gonna have to wait though, because I just got a text and it sounds like my new cam and lifters have arrived, and we're gonna go pick that up right now. And just like that, we are back from town. I have the new camshaft here. The pain, the long-awaited anticipation, and the stress I've been going through. Let's get this thing installed and fixed once and for all. Might I add, I'm not 100% sure if this is gonna fix my knocking, ticking issue, but we'll see once everything's back together. Then I can narrow it down. If it's still making noise, I can narrow it down to a few other things that should be easier or much, much harder. I went ahead and loosened the injection pump bolts just so it could be in perfect top dead center, and I'll go from there with the VCDS, like the computer stuff, and try and get it as timed as possible once I do get it running. Now all I need to do is put on the vacuum pump and the valve cover and the timing belt cover and fire it up. All right, I finally have everything buttoned up here on the ALH. I've got everything in time. I got all the bolts double checked and the vacuum pump on, the intercooler pipes tightened down. I reinstalled this wire from my alternator to my starter. I just need to zip tie that up. But there's one last thing left to do, and that's to run it. And I think I need to keep it at a certain RPM for like 20 minutes just to break in the cam, and then I'm going to do an oil change, and then it will be good to go. And hopefully during that process there's no bad noises coming out of the engine. The van is running. That's the good news. It's making a little bit of noise like it was before, but nowhere as bad. I'm just letting it idle at 1800 RPM for 20 minutes to break in the new cam, and then I'm gonna do a quick oil change and clean up my whole mess. Good enough. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. I got the van running. It still makes noise, but that's fine. Got a new cam. I got everything I need to hopefully hit the road. I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick oil change before the sun goes down, and check in next week to see what happens.